This is an NP241 DHD transfer case, and it comes out of a second generation Dodge Ram 3500. So up next for this transfer case, what I'd like to do is disassemble it further so that I can get at those shift forks. There's two of them, so that I can replace the sliders, and I'd also like to replace this chain and some seals. And looking at the magnet that was in here, the transfer case looks like it has had normal or even minimal wear. So I don't think I'm going to really find much for wear or damage on this transfer case. It's been looking pretty clean on the inside. So I'm going to pull this snap ring off, and then I should be able to pull this front gear up with the chain and along with this, this assembly here. So it looks like before I can remove the next shift fork, I'll have to remove another snap ring right here. So I'll get that off, and then that fork should come out. So right now this planetary that's still in here is in low range, and I can tell by turning on here, this turns a lot more than what the planetary assembly does. So if I lift on it a little bit here, disengages, so now that would be in neutral. And if I lift it some more, then it's direct drive, all turns at the same speed. Unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to tip this whole thing upside down and take a mallet and tap the other end of this so it'll drop out. And I think what I'll do is kind of pour I got some oil in here, pour that oil into a pail, and then I'll put some rags kind of down in here, and then I'll tap on it, and then the rags should cushion the drop of that planetary assembly. Alright, well, it's upside down, so I can get a hammer right in here and then tap on the top of the hammer with a mallet, and that should drive that planetary out of the housing. Okay, it's just dropped down. So under here should be a planetary laying on some rags. There it is. This is a shaft that holds that front drive gear on, that the chain goes around, and this is like for the front drive shaft. So I was able to just take a mallet and just tap this flange off of there, and then when that was off, then this shaft just slid right out of the case. So looking at that magnet that was in part 1 of this little video series, it kind of showed me that there was normal or even minimal wear in this transfer case. So I don't think that there's going to be a problem with this planetary, at least looking at it externally and how it rolls so smooth and stuff. I don't think there's a problem with it. This bearing almost silent. Actually, I'm listening for it. I cannot even hear anything. So, and compared to the bearing here, so this is the bearing that supports the front drive shaft, the flange. So I think I will likely replace this one, and I saw signs of a part number right in here, so that will help me track down a replacement. So when I have the bearing out, then I'll spin it again. It may even be sounding noisy because it's actually in this housing. Maybe if it's out, then it would be quieter, but it sure does sound at least noisier than that one that's on the planetary. This bearing is just held in with a snap ring, so that should be easy to get out. So these sliders on these shift forks actually look like they're still in pretty good shape. So I did find something on this main shaft. Right on the end here, this bearing surface is very slightly rough, and it seems more so here on this side compared to this side. This side seems nice and smooth. And just here, and I think I can get that to show up a little bit with this light. You can kind of see the lines on that surface, and those look like needle bearing marks, because this shaft, it runs inside of this planetary, and there's a needle bearing down in there. So, but I think this setup is only used, this bearing actually only spins, or this bearing only spins on this shaft in low range, because in high range, then this shaft is locked together with this planetary. They all turn as one. So I think that's how that works. So I think this is a low range thing here. So I could maybe replace this bearing and come up with a way to maybe smooth this off just a little bit. But I don't want to remove material either, because that shaft has to be, it needs to be that size for a reason, because it's got to fit that bearing nice. So, So years ago I had a 205 gear drive transfer case apart from a Chevy 4-wheel drive, and I don't recall that one had a synchronizer in it. If you guys can remember if those have a synchronizer or not, then you can maybe leave a comment. So I was looking for wear on these teeth right here, and if the synchronizer isn't doing its job and maybe you have an aggressive driver, then when this slider moves over to engage these teeth, then it can grind. So, and then also I have a light shining underneath here. You see the little gap from the synchronizer itself to this gear here, and same thing over here. There's a gap from the synchronizer till here. As that gap disappears more and more, then that's a sign that the synchronizer is wearing. So there's still a gap there. Maybe measure what the factory specs are, but just visually looking here, I think that's looking okay. So this seal is accessible now with that front drive shaft flange off of there. And so this planetary gear is still in the housing. It could be removed with a snap ring here, but I think I'm going to leave it in there, and also leave the shifter mechanism in there. So anyways, I think that's it for now. So anyways guys, thanks for checking in and watching another video.